Well, it was the biggest strike in years, and it threatened to cripple the U.S. economy had it dragged on. It appears, though, a big W for the UAW. Big pay benefit increases, stronger job security. The United Auto Workers Union won significant concessions in tentative settlements that will likely become permanent that have ended their strikes against Detroit's big three automakers. Now, General Motors, Ford, Stellantis are facing sharply higher labor costs, estimated by some analysts exceeding $1 billion per year per company. Ford, for one, says that will raise the average price of a car about $1,000. So joining us now is Professor and Dr. Robert Bruno, Professor and Director of all things labor at University of Illinois. Doc, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Brad. Nice to be here with you.
UAW President Shawn Fain, a week ago or so, I was asking you, had he reached too far? Now it seems like it was a brilliantly played walkout. I mean, if a strike is taken out of, Sun Tzu's The Art of War, I mean, this was it. They hit the big three where it hurt most, shuttering, for example, the Ford assembly plant, maker of the big money maker, the Explorer. Have you seen a better played, strategically wise strike?
Not in a long time. He did seem to play it just right. This is a union that had really gone through quite a bit of change. And so I think right down to all of those locals that went out at specific times very strategically, they were prepped. They were well organized and educated. They knew what they would be doing, and they were ready to go when they got a call from the leadership. So I think it's great leadership on the part of President Fain, but I think you see a lot of rank and file engagement that helped to drive this outcome.
Yeah, absolutely, and a lot of rank and file who had been and felt like they weren't a part of the process by prior leadership at the UAW. Almost feel like the UAW is colluding, with the automakers. So it appears the agreement with Stellantis will reopen the iconic assembly plant in Belvidere, just outside of Rockford. It is the beating heart of that community. It will now reopen, welcome back its employees after closing. Some thought maybe for good. I mean, could there be a more emblematic place of what this contract means than in Belvidere, Illinois?
Yeah, this is quite an achievement. I don't know that folks can really appreciate how big this is. And, once this plant, when word was announced that it was closing, I mean, it's just sent shockwaves through the community. And the community didn't give up on trying to do something with the plant, but Stellantis just wouldn't commit to anything. And it's hard through collective bargaining to reopen a plant. But they convinced Stellantis, UAW did, that they not only going to reopen that plant, but on adjacent ground, they will build a battery manufacturing plant. So you don't just get the assembly plant, but you then also get a battery manufacturing facility next door. So they're growing that space. Wow. Where before it was really quite uncertain what would happen to it. This is an enormous achievement through negotiations and, of course, pushed really powerfully by the strike.
Yeah. Almost doubling its importance, a 180 for a town that many had in its final countdown, if you will. Good news for workers. What about buyers? Ford said it might cost an extra $1,000 per vehicle because of these increases. And you're not hearing a big backlash from the public.
No, I think that, I think this is a win-win. It's obviously just an enormous achievement for the workers, for the community. Belvidere, for example, the role that the union played in raising that community up. But it's going to be good for the companies. They've looked at their bottom line. They know that labor costs are actually only fully burdened about 5.5–6% of their cost. They've estimated what this is going to cost in terms of product. They see the market, and they're not indicating any concern that it's going to change the transition to EV or the trajectory of these very, very profitable companies. And I think it's going to make them incredibly competitive. And I think darn well may actually make them better suited to compete with the non-union transplants and the Teslas that are out there. So I think it's a major achievement for them also.
Interesting. The UAW really reestablishing itself politically too. 150,000 workers here involved here, and as many as a dozen jobs directly, indirectly affected by each of those 150,000. Who wins politically here? I mean, UAW used to mean blue Democrat. Now there's a split. It's not purple. It's not blue-red. Is there a political winner?
Well, the UAW historically has always been a very important political player in national politics, not only in Michigan, but actually helping to kind of create the New Deal social contract after World War II. And so they're going to continue to be very important. But if you tie this contract, its outcome, to three major programs that have come out of Washington, I think President Biden and I think Democrats who've advocated for investments into electric vehicles, for example, infrastructure, for example, and then you have the union making all of those jobs really high-paying, good jobs. I think it makes a strong argument that not only is the UAW more politically powerful, but they'll play a bigger role probably in influencing support for President Biden in 2024.
Yeah, no question. The cachet of a UAW support and voucher and backing will mean more now than it has in many, many years. Professor and Dr. Robert Bruno, Director of All Things Labor at U of I, we appreciate your knowledge throughout this, and we, of course, have many other labor situations we're following now from Hollywood on, and we will be in touch with you. But thank you for guiding us through this strike in particular, and thank you for your time today.